Welcome back. You are watching KTN News Desk. Many thanks for staying with us. Let's now head over to the August House, where Treasury Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich has told the National Assembly's Budget and Appropriations Committee that they have already spent 19.7 billion out of the 68.3 billion shillings supplementary budget of this financial year. The committee, however, has raised concern that money meant for donor funding and security is not being thoroughly scrutinized. For more details on how this discourse went down at the National Assembly, let's speak to our senior parliamentary reporter, Patrick Amimo. Patrick, what really are the concerns raised by the National Assembly's Budget and Appropriations Committee?
Thank you, Akisa. The Budget and Appropriations Committee has just met with the Cabinet Secretary for Treasury to seek some clarifications on the budget process, especially the second supplementary budget. The concern of the committee is that during the first supplementary budget, there were certain cost estimates of votes that were made, but in the second supplementary budget, it appears some items have been budgeted for without, which in effect has led to an increase in the budget provisions for certain departments or certain services. So the committee is concerned about these particular shifting of cost estimates in the first supplementary budget and the second supplementary budget. But then, according to the CS Treasury, Henry Rotich, he says that this particular budget was informed by the donor funding, which meant that these donors could not honor the obligations on time. That's why during the first supplementary budget, it was made with the donor funding in mind. But then donors delayed. That's why they had to reduce, to scale down on the budget. But then when the money came back, that's why they had to make a second supplementary budget with those provisions on board. But then the Budget and Appropriations Committee is concerned that this particular way they are doing is, with regard to the donor funding, is not right, and they want to see it normalized or strengthened so that we have at least the donor funding follows the budget making process. The other concern with the Budget Committee is that there is lack of serious austerity measures. The committee is of the opinion that the Treasury, National Treasury, has been coming up requesting for more funds, especially towards the tail end of the financial year. Remember, this financial year, 2016-2017, is ending on June 30th, about 3 weeks to go, and yet the government is requesting for about 50 billion shillings. So the concern of the committee is that most of these monies end up doing hospitality issues, advertising, and those are matters that are not necessary for the development of the country. But then the CS Treasury says that according to the law, they are allowed to spend at least 10% of the budget before they seek approval from the committee. So that is the thing that they were scrutinizing here. There's also the increased expenditure to the Interior Ministry, which the CS has said that the money, at least about 7 billion shillings that is going to the Ministry for Interior, that money is meant to assist boost the election period, to ensure that there are enough security personnel on the ground. There is there is provision of security equipment for the police officers on the ground to manage the election. But then the chairperson of the committee, Reverend Mutava Musimi, was also of the opinion that members of the committee should be allowed to access the Interior Ministry when they are providing for some of these security provisions, because they think the secrecy that surrounds these operations at the Interior Ministry could be a loophole to siphon public funds. And I will also say, maybe lastly, is that the National CS Treasurer has also touched on the ongoing nurses strike, and he says he's a bit concerned that the strike is on. The nurses have declared a strike, yet according to the return to work formula that was struck in January this year, all the money had been sent to the counties, and he expected nothing, and there will be no more strikes. So he says that what he understands is that maybe there is a review of the agreed return to work formula and the salaries that were to be paid and allowances. That's maybe what he says that he feels could be the reason behind the current stalemate. But according to him, he says that the return to work formula